Welcome to Table for 92, element number 65, terbium. It's number 65 because it has exactly 65 protons within its nucleus. For terbium, we're cooking up some more Swedish food. Yet another element found in Sweden, another cool Swedish recipe from the official Swedish government website. I've said it in previous episodes, but the Swedish website, sweden.se, is lovely. Actually, like all the Nordic countries, their websites are not what you would expect from like an official government website. They really want you to know about their culture, so that includes things like recipes. So yeah, they're just like full of these really important recipes to the people of these countries. It's awesome. So anyway, coming from sweden.se, I give you, terbium, one of the 7 elements discovered on the island of Risaro in a village called Ytterby. It's an island near Stockholm, Sweden. And 4 of these elements are named directly after Ytterby. Yttrium, ytterbium, erbium, and terbium. Easy to remember, right? Yeah, I know, it's kind of confusing, but to be honest, the history of naming the elements is quite honestly insane. The arguments about the naming, the controversies, the mistakes in naming, that still stick today. It's kind of a beautiful example of how science and art coming together, but it's a beautiful mess. So again, we're on terbium, not erbium or ytterbium, terbium. Terbium. Yes, terbium. Terbium. Like the other lanthanides, terbium has no known biological role in the body. It is a silvery metal, and like almost all the other metals and rare earth elements on the periodic table, it is not found in a pure state in nature. That is one of the big characteristics of the lanthanides, or rare earth metals, rare earth minerals, as they're also known. They aren't exactly the rarest elements on the table. It's more about how difficult they are to extract from their sources. This also has to do with why some of the lanthanides were so difficult to discover in the first place. Like really, the stories of the lanthanides are one of constant frustration for both chemists who discovered them and this guy trying to understand how it all went down. Like, it starts with cerium being found, but it turned out that cerium was actually 3 different lanthanide elements that were like all hanging out together, but that wasn't discovered until decades later by somebody else. With terbium though, it gets even crazier. Carl Mosander is credited with the discovery of terbium, where in 1843 was working with gadolinites and discovered 3 new elements which he named yttrium, terbium, and erbium. I don't know if he thought that was funny and would frustrate chemistry students like 100 years later or what, but yeah, that's what he named them. But it gets worse. The terbium he had discovered had a rose-like color in its salts. The erbium had a deep yellow, and the yttrium didn't really have a color. But 20 years after his discovery, a Swiss chemist named Marc de la Fontaine re-examined yttrium and found it also contained the yellow color, and it was determined that terbium and erbium be switched. It is incredibly frustrating, and honestly, I don't really understand what I just said. Apparently some of the samples were mixed up, but yeah, terbium and erbium were switched. Again, the history of the lanthanide group, incredibly frustrating, but these saffron buns should relieve a little the frustration in my brain pan. To make lusikater, grind the saffron along with a cube of sugar using a mortar and pestle. That's the thing with the lanthanide group of elements though, they are pretty similar, so similar indeed that it was agreed that they belong out there on their own, in their own little row. All the lanthanides are silvery transition metals. Many are used in medicine as a contrasting agent in MRI scans that help to, diagnose different ailments. Some of those make really strong magnets too. But terbium is really cool, and it totally changed the game when it came to lighting. The Thomas Edison light bulb, as great as that was, it illuminated the night. We didn't have to burn whale blubber or whatever once the light bulb came along. Again, it was great, but it was really inefficient. You have to heat a wire with an electrical current to the point that it begins to glow. You are wasting a tremendous amount of heat, and only a small portion of the heat is actually turned into light. Remember, energy is heat. But in the 1960s, some of the lanthanide elements, or rather their salts, were finally used to emit light, as they don't waste near as much energy as regular light bulbs. Terbium has a greenish color with other other lanthanides emitting different colors. Terbium compounds were in millions of households all over the world from the 1960s to the 1990s. But once flat screen TVs were put on the market, the terbium color TVs were obsolete. I mean, there are probably some of you out there whose grandma still has her 1970s TV, but terbium color TVs are pretty much regulated to museums. Like other lanthanide elements though, terbium is still used in the biomedical field and in high-end magnets. Overall, I didn't think terbium would be so interesting. If it weren't for how ridiculously complicated the discovery of terbium was, I would probably like this element a little bit more though. I mean, that's just me. I mean, terbium or erbium or yttrium or terbium. No, it's terbium. Yes, terbium. So, enjoy your saffron buns. And remember the Swedish tradition of fika, to take a pause in the day and to go out and get a nice pastry and elderberry tea. A beautiful thing to do, the fika. And remember, if you are invited to fika, better fika and go, or you'll never be invited again. Thank you. See you next time.